Get right into it, shall we? I just see what you guys posted on Discord. Well done. I gotta post the link to this. Since the YouTube bot is fixed now thanks to Trep, but not just it hasn't like implemented its shit yet. Oh, I was wrong about the brand. Right, so for those that missed it, I'm late on stream because I got caught up reading something and I had to read it. A Supreme Court opinion, a very the most recent Supreme Court opinion. I had to read it a few times to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding what happened. I don't comment on Supreme Court rulings, the rulings themselves. Because there are other channels where you can go and people give you their analysis, their opinion, whatever. This is a gaming channel, first and foremost. But there will be objective things that I can point out from time to time that has nothing to do with which side you take. The United States Supreme Court, in their statement of facts for this case, lied. They lied in the statement of facts. The 6-3 majority lied. Lied in their statement of facts. And there's a few reasons why this is something that set me off. One, it's the type of shit that politicians do, where something did happen, but not to the extent that they say it did, and they base it and they do it in a way to garner, you know, sympathy behind their reasoning and this person. And going on to that, number two, you can say, well, maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they made a mistake. Well, let me tell you something about Supreme Court cases. They pour over these cases for months. Months. Sometimes it goes over a year, just depending on their caseload and what they all decide to rule on. They look over these cases for months. So either they intentionally got it wrong, or they're so grossly incompetent as to that level of negligence. So here's the lie. I'm not going to go to the portion behind it that's at issue, or at least the main. You would understand, and I don't want to start any discussion on that specific thing, but basically because of something a teacher did, the court said that person lost their job. That person left voluntarily. That person left voluntarily. You don't say that person lost their job when the person leaves voluntarily. I see some of the Twitter comments. Oh, well, he did get suspended. Well, he got suspended. There's a tremendous difference between a suspension and a termination. That tells you that there was no intent, at least as far as you can tell, that he was going to lose his job. Chatbot's not up yet. That is the type of shit. That's the type of lie that a politician would make. He lost his job because of this. No, he didn't. He chose to leave his job. You don't make that mistake. Hey, Coulter, what's up? Yeah, no problem. You go ahead and beat this game there. We are talking about the Supreme Court of the United States, or the United States Supreme Court. What do I call it? The USSC. No, I'm not talking about Roe v. Wade. I'm not going to discuss Roe v. Wade, just as I said in the Discord, just as I was mentioning before. I of course have my own opinions. This is a gaming channel. You guys want to go to, there are plenty of channels where you can go to if you want that information. You keep it off here, though. But this is something, I think it was released today, because I just saw the published opinion for the first time today. So it was either today or yesterday. No, it wouldn't be yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. So yeah, I think it was released today. Where they actually lied in their statement of facts. I've still been contemplating. So, for those that don't know, I have a second channel. And I'm actually going to start doing stuff on that second channel soon. That's going to be non-game related. Non-gaming related. So there could be a lot of other stuff on there about law. I'm still not sure whether or not I'm going to get political on that channel, because there are reasons to do it and reasons not to do it. But the Amber Heard trial, I wouldn't have necessarily found the way that the jury did, but either way, I thought Johnny Depp won the trial before the jury ever made a decision, and it didn't matter what their decision was. He was going to win either way, because public opinion and his career had received a significant boost because of what people saw as the truth of their relationship. So this is actually what I have. Florida Natural most pulp. The most pulp. I could post more dog vids. I have no idea what any of that is, but it sounds very intelligent. So, bravo. Alright, so this is what we're drinking. Remember, the stipulation behind this is that I get an hour. Because this is not something, you just can't slam this. It's too much because you're eating an orange. That color. Ugh. You know, I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't have as much pulp as the other stuff did. I got this stuff to see if I could find something with more pulp for maximum punishment, but this stuff doesn't have as much pulp as the other stuff did, so this most pulp stuff is bullshit. Unless that's the most pulp they could find. It's still disgusting, mind you, but there's a noticeable difference. The Simply Orange stuff, I was basically chewing. So, there are like 2 other brands, I think, in the grocery store nearest to me that have a lot of pulp. So we'll try those 2 first, but if they're not as bad as the Simply Orange, then I guess we're going back to the Simply Orange. $30 minutes? Why are you cutting it down in half? It's not half the pulp. If anything, I'd say it's like 15 to 20% less. So like 40 minutes. Yeah, right. 10 million IQ for real. All right, 40 minutes from now. What do you have as the time for your 40 minutes, Trep, from when you started? I have 11:15, so that would be 11:55. Here's the other thing, though. The taste of this is worse. I'll say that even though I was basically chewing the Simply Orange, it tasted better than this. This has like I don't know. The aftertaste is really bad. Orange juices can have a few different types of aftertaste. One, where it can have like, oh, that tastes like orange. And that's like, yeah, it's bad, but at least you know what to expect. And then there's like the Sunny D aftertaste, where it's just sugar. So they try to mask it, and it's like, all right, well, that's probably the best you can do with it. And then there's aftertastes like this, where it almost like it's grapefruit or something. Like, it gets really sour. It's not expired or anything. It doesn't smell weird. It's just bad. No, I drink one every 50... Oh. I drink one every 50 bucks. Right now we're at what, 7? Wait, is it? Yeah, 7 out of 50? The good thing, though, is I can drink more at a time, so if I maximize it, I can have his try to minimize the amount of aftertastes I have to go through. Oh, that aftertaste is awful. Yes, it's my Maurice Moss voice from the IT crowd. Hello. Tell us more. Fight fire with fire. Somebody got caught. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now, when I came in here one morning. I immediately noticed that a waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ramstone open. And I found the ramstone open its place. The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. Then? So this waxwork that was stolen, it was the model of some horrible criminal, I suppose? Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. A killer who left a more profound scar in society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Not a name I've heard of. So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry? The Professor case happened at around the time I was... Oh, God. The Professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago. A series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time that Barak von Zeeks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying. To the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life? As you've surmised, it was the Professor case. Who was the Professor then? Why are we fucking asking her? Sholm should be telling us. Tsumugi makes Suichi I don't remember that scene. My LSAT book was like that. Did I? I mean, I can think of several different meanings. And yes, a couple of them would be sexual innuendos. Yo, what's up, Maxim? I know, right? The bastard. And then there's that, which is simply that it was an actual alcoholic cocktail. It was just like, oh man, that's cool. She's serving me a drink. It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction. I don't understand. How's this all related to Lord Van Zeeks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose. Some of Whitehall's finest. What do you mean, Harley? Those murdered by the professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... Ah, wait! Of course! What Professor Harebrain said. Lord Van Zeeks is from a family with noble blood. Oh, gosh! It was the 5th victim that led to the professor's arrest. This is bro, right? The guy he has a picture of? Actually, I don't know if that's his brother. It could be his father, I guess. But he looked really young. Oh, that's right. She said she worked for one of those, like, comfort cafes or companion cafe. I don't know. I forget what they're called. CJ, what are they called, CJ? You are more familiar with specific names within the culture than I am. It's, but they're not all maid cafes. Hospitality cafes? Like, some of them don't have, like, it's not a maid thing. A maid cafe is basically one of the derivatives. Hostess bar, is that what it's called? But yeah, maid cafe is essentially it is one version of a hostess bar with its own niche theme to it. But you can go to a hostess bar that's more general in nature. Oh, the aftertaste really is cringeworthy. Bucket. I'll deal with the stomach ache later. Nope, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Oh. I started to feel my stomach wrench. I tried. Oh. The reason I want to get this done more than, like, quicker than the other one is because that aftertaste is still in my goddamn mouth. It just lingers there. The Simply Orange one wasn't so permanent. Like, the only way it's going away is if I drink something else. And I'm not gonna drink something else while drinking this. That's just cheating. And I'm not a cheater. Now chatbot's working, by the way. I don't drink anything during the drinking of the orange juice. Because then it'd be punishment, but it'd be very watered down punishment, as it were. Haha, ba-doom-tuh. The Mask of Taste of Orange with some orange candy. That orange candy tastes better than whatever this aftertaste is. So it would be like upgrading from one horrible taste to a really bad taste. Well, are there cabarets in Japan? I guess there could be. They are mostly family friendly. I'm gonna take at the time, he'll be 8-year-old nephew next year to a maid cafe when I go to Japan. How are you, master? It just, the whole time, it'll just be like, family friendly indeed. Oh, cabarets. Oh, I got a whole bunch that was at the bottom at the end there. Ooh. I should have been ready for that. I should have expected it. But I was not. I mean, there was always pulp, but like that was like simply orange pulp at the end there. I don't know what she's barking at. Today is not evil day. Oh, soda. Coca-Cola. Seriously? I haven't said this in a while. I have an actual addiction to Coke Zero Cherry Vanilla. I can't stop drinking this, and it's kind of a problem. I can go through like 5 cans of these a day like it was nothing. Generally, I was drinking between 1 to 2 cans of soda a day. I can finish off a case of this in 2 days. Are you really asking me how many milliliters are in here? Oh, it actually does say how many milliliters are in here. 355 milliliters, or 12 ounces, for us not on the metric system. Yeah, I don't know how real that is with like for school festivals and stuff, but I've seen the same thing that you're talking about. Yeah, basically. It's bad. I told you. Since I started drinking this stuff, yes. So like over the past like week, It's very new. I think I'm already on my 3rd box. My wife can't really drink a full can of soda either, but she can almost drink an entire one of these. Like, that's a big deal. Yeah, I'm working on 3.3 now. 3.2 is just uploaded if you missed it. I can't believe, I should have realized how much longer it was going to be, but 3.2 being 5 hours kind of stunned me. Because I don't remember it being that long. I mean, okay, so I used an electric toothbrush, which for those that don't know is something like 8 times more effective than using a toothbrush. The great thing, besides it just doing everything on its own, like they say, let the electric brush do its work. You don't have to. You just put it there and it, like that's how it's supposed to work. The other great thing about it is that it has its own timer. So I don't just rush through brushing my teeth anymore. I just let the timer do its thing, and when it's done, and it's like 3 minutes or something like that. So my teeth have actually like never been in better shape in terms of like home care. You're addicted to my vodka, so thank you. I see. Okay, so you've watched them both already. I gotcha. No, yeah, I'm working on 3.3, and I have, like I said in the comments on one of them, I actually have people, like, helping me with them now. Like, we're each doing, portions. So, like, we get them done faster now. It wasn't even the stuck portions that took off the most. Trials and Tribulations is when I really started, like, engaging more often with people. Not that it didn't happen in the first 2 games, but we didn't have the viewing audience for the first 2 games that we started getting around Trials and Tribulations, and then really jumped up during Apollo Justice. I will say one difference between 2.4 and 1.4 and 1.5. There's more going back and forth in 1.5 than there is in 2.4, which is part of it. Part of why it seemed longer, because that's just more of a tedious process. Whereas 2.4 had a more, you do this, and now you go do, and then it leads to this person. And it's more of a natural flow of things, instead of like back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Like a fucking Resident Evil game with backtracking. Well, think about it. I get somewhere between like... what, 300 to 400 views usually at the end of these streams. Like, live views. Justice for All, I was getting 70. Excuse me. Now, a lot of people obviously would watch it after the fact, but those live crowds were not very big. Oh, God. My allergies have been doing so well the last couple days, too. Thank you. All right. Hopefully that will have stemmed the tide. You didn't have like a panel done on you, Trep? I guess maybe you did, maybe your parents know. Maybe they just haven't told you because there's nothing really for you to worry about. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of Lerick von Zeeks. Clint? I don't know why. But it both fits and not at all at the same time. Very interesting. Good old Clint, man. Oh, God. Yeah, Clint Stevens. The first two people I thought of were Clint Eastwood and Clint Stevens. Then there was an old Brewers baseball prospect named Clint Coulter. One second. Work related. Hold on. Sorry, real quick. I need to. One second. Mute, damn you. Sorry, this is something I need to take care of, like, ASAP. Sorry about that. I had to reschedule the conference call. I didn't want to make sure we get on the schedule because our schedules can be very tight. So I didn't want to wait till later today and try to get back. Like, oh, all of a sudden these three time periods that would have worked out were all filled up. By the time I called you, between the time I called you and the time you called me back. And by the way, that allergy test that Devin just described, the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I've like cut myself deep before with more significantly less pain than those things. Holy fucking shit, those things are painful. No! I don't believe it! Van Zieks? I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Barrick pursued a career as a prosecutor. And eventually became the Reaper we know today. I had no idea Lord Van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter. For the time being, at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit. I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Ah, yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Purdy lady. I don't know, maybe. Maybe you just have, like, reptilian skin or something. Because everybody I've talked to had, because, like, I thought I was just a little bitch. But everyone else I've talked to that have had it said, oh no, it's just as painful as you remember. That shit is awful. Ugh. Blood tests are less painful physically and more painful mentally. Because how long they have to keep that needle and draw blood, that's the part I don't like. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. It's been too long. It really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barrick. It's been 10 years, and here we are meeting in a prison of all places. I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow the court will decide. Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident, a terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Barrick, are you really? What? Never mind. I know that you have my best interests at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barrick. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. That was a decent thing to do. I'm with CJ there. Yeah, if they can't find a vein, I can understand that being really fucking frustrating. You keep getting poked. My veins, on the other hand, are apparently what a nurse would describe as juicy. My mom would always tell me that because my mom works in a hospital too. She's a tech, but she's an imaging tech, but she's applied injections before. And she was like, oh, your veins are so juicy. And I'm like, you're just saying that because you're my mother. Such a liar. And then my wife said that too. And of course, everything my wife say has to be 100% the truth. So. Well, vaccinations are generally a lot faster, and the needles are generally a lot thinner. Like the COVID vaccination is really fast. Like, boop, done. Yeah, the problem is that they hurt more after the fact. Normally it's just stiffness, but obviously some can be worse than others. Can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. Now here I am, back to the Old Bailey. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo! Good morning, Professor Hairbrain. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is all off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel it every time I'm here. That gravity. Girth. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Ah, yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm counting on you in today's trial to save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yeah, being a diabetic, there's a lot of reasons it sucks, obviously. But having to inject yourself daily, I would never trust myself to do that. Wow. Was it just because you were like you were a kid and you were scared, or? Was there malpractice by the doctor? That does sound terrifying. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. Who is this? My commiserations, Mr. Naruto. You seem to have been lumbered with the most tiresome case here. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here. That was very mean, Reno, leaving me alone at home with Hurley. Took me at least an hour to wake him. Is it? Are you... Herlock Sholmes? Indeed, sir. I am he. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I've heard all about your exploits, even whilst living in Germany. Ah, yes, Red's magazine is on sale in Germany, too. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in The Adventure of Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah, yes, a memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No, that was the speckled band. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh. I have urgent business at Madame Tuspells. Tuspells. No, it's Two Spells, right? Was it Two Spells or Tuspells? Two Spells. Okay, that's what I thought. I have urgent business at Madame Two Spells. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then. I understand. Of course, with my skills of observations and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, then you must absolutely give it to your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Oh yes, quite, definitely, absolutely. I totally understand. Is someone a little starstruck? I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Hairbrain. Why, thank you. Before I depart, Miss Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as this super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I've read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Runo. I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. He's completely barking up the wrong tree. How can an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding in fact succeed? That's contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I've no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. Yeah, I just read it as light reading. I wanted something to go with my morning tea. But it looks like you're on your own today, Runo. But chin up, you can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? No, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. Go play and be a child. I see. It's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. That sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way to the courtroom at once. We're on our way. Experiments that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed. And a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. Here we go. Let's meet the jury. How pissed will Twain be today? Hey, Your Honor. I don't suppose you lie in your opinions too, do you? You wouldn't be as scummy as the U.S. Supreme Court, would you? No. No, of course not. You're a man of integrity. You would never lie in your statement of facts! One more time for those in the back. Statements of facts! The absolute one thing that nobody should be able to fuck up. Stating what actually happened. Well, to be fair, nobody should be using a fax machine now anyways. They only do it because they're dinosaurs. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We're sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Hairbrain. I now call upon the counsels
for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of seems weird to have the goggles on in court. Should we switch back to his other outfit while we're in court? Six months out of practice. God damn it. I wish there was a way to like quick swap. Thank you. Yeah, it seems more appropriate. I mean, I wish I could wear some goggles on the top of my head. Hey! A cape is supremely more refined than goggles. If he had a crown on, I'd be like, ah, that's a little much. How else will his forehead be able to see what's happening? I don't think his forehead needs to see what's happening. That's an it problem. 6 months out of practice, so what's more? Shit! Susanoo just did that peace out, disappear meme! That's all I could think of was that kid who's like, and then he like disappears. Oh God. I'm without Susanoo-san today. Ugh. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? So, I must say, I recollect the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Odie Asman. Mr. Asman was well known as a financier, though that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities. Man, you can't slander that dude when he's dead. You weren't able to prove that.
It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks. The jury unanimously found him not guilty.
Because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. See? You think that sort of thing to yourself. You don't say it out loud. If Ryunosuke had been like, because every member of the jury was bribed, he would have been scolded. But Van Zieks could be like, that criminal mastermind. You're like, and he just get, yeah, exactly.
I know they didn't find him guilty, but...
You can hurt the dead. You absolutely can damage the dead by slandering their name. In situations that could create questions in regards to things like insurance and their estate. Which in turn could hurt their heirs and beneficiaries. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedoms. Is that even that extreme? I feel like that's a pretty basic thing for a criminal like that to do. In fact, I feel like that's like step one for them. Bribe anybody you need to bribe.
But 2 days ago, on 21st October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it?
If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution, the fact remains that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused Professor Hairbrain.
Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Oops. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty?
God damn! Look at that dude's fucking jawline! And the way he talked, it was blah, 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 blah. I'm most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. Oh, hello. That is a fucking Giga Chad. For real, Jesus. He's huge, too. Here I thought I'd just be redoing the same voices. Now I have to come up with a bunch of new voices. Fuck. To have a man's life in the palm of one's hand, oh gosh, oh golly. It sends shivers down my spine. Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances. If you didn't get it, that's David Blaine. I'm doing David Blaine for him. And we have the Monopoly man here. I don't fucking know.
Any spurious scholar that destroys the reputation of science deserves to hang.
This is a child. This is an actual child. We have to listen to what's said on both sides the fence and then settle on one. That's it, isn't it?
Wasn't it? Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all.
That's Police Killer Otter Mule look-alike. Again. He's as exhausted as ever, it seems. He just needs the Homer glasses. We gotta give him the Homer glasses. That was one of my favorite Simpsons jokes as a kid. But I didn't appreciate the more nuanced. That's when Homer was on the jury. He is definitely sleeping. He looks up. Like, yes. I am watching with great interest. But he is sleeping. The child is secretly villain. He definitely improved his disguise. Jesus. Isn't it? Wait.
Now, as I'm sure you are all aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition, shortly after its opening.
Though the death toll could have been far worse, with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators.
A tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all London, no, the whole world will be on this trial. Oh, the whole world has to be watching what I'm doing because I'm London in this trial. Ah!
Jesus, stop fucking stroking yourself on the bench. The amount of times people overstate their own importance is astounding to me. People say this shit too. Oh, yeah, no, I understand. This is probably super accurate. And also super criticizable. For how ridiculously self-centered this is.
It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel.
So that, the rest of the world can follow in our footsteps, because everyone follows us.
So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zeeks.
At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world.
One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the great exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage.
The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage, instantaneous kinesis.
Good lord!
I think I've talked about this before, but if I haven't, let me reiterate. Most judges are gonna know that basic information coming into the case. They just don't come in blind. I mean, like, that makes it even more ridiculous that he's so self-righteous about it. He doesn't even know half of what's going on. Dude just came in and was like, there was a murder, there was something that happened at the great exhibition that caused someone to die. This will be a most momentous case. Do you know what happened, Your Honor? No, just that somebody died. That's all I need to know. And of course that means everybody will be watching us. Bang gavel. It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled. This is all, by the way, a long, slow burn on Star Trek, this whole case, if you guys didn't know that. The game designer is not a fan of the science fiction in that series. No, I'm kidding. There'll be somebody out there that'll be like, oh my god, really?
Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility?
Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity, my goodness, how shocking!
The whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. Sir, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field? I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock.
So this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible.
What is the prosecution's view on the matter?
The prosecution would assert that I have an excellent pointer finger, that the accused's instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. Order! Order! The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. It is deemed to have merit. A substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Asman's life. In order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. Except if he was going to kill him, this was going to happen! Like, that's a horrible plan! But kinesis had? I suppose, kinetic. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's a nice touch. I know they've done that with other words too, but teleportation is one that, like, if I were writing this, I wouldn't necessarily think like, oh, did they use the word teleportation at that point in time? Alright, remember, see you later. So there is a there is a distinction between the two words. Whereas, so yeah, the difference is that Asman is the benefactor of Harebrain's work. Harebrain is the beneficiary of Asman's death as the person who would receive the soul. At least I understand. That's my understanding of how that would work. So Van Zeke should have called Harebrain the beneficiary. Instead of the benefactor. So Devin, I think you're right. So weird how they, like, there was one very subtle technicality that they got right, and then there's one very subtle technicality that they got wrong. Back to back. Yeah, so it's not that there's a legal problem with them being on the jury, but in this case, I'd strike him off the jury if I'm Van Zeeks. I would never, like, he would be one of my auto strikes that I'm allowed. Or he's just gone. Because him saying it's not a success is like, it's detrimental to my case. I don't want to have to convince an expert that believes it couldn't possibly be a success. So it's just likely that juror number, was it 4? 4. Juror number 4 would never actually serve on the jury because in the process of voir dire, Van Zeeks would have struck him. But if he was left on there, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as he has no relation to the person. That's when it becomes a problem. You have to disclose any potential relationships you have with the parties. Because then you usually, depending on the circumstances, because it could have a whatchamacallit situation. What's that place called? Something County? That situation happened where you might just have to. But in places where jury size is not an issue, you'd probably be excused. Loving. Good old Loving County. But that's your response, Ryu? This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim.
Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims.
Gladly, my lord. Bailiff, show the first witnesses to the stand. Oh God, 2 witnesses again. Oh. Why are both of them up at the same time? It doesn't even make sense. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation.
Albert Harebrain, scientist. You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. So, we're not exactly sure, but I think of the date, right? Because it's kind of vague, like a general time period. But it's interesting that the Germany thing is brought up here because I'm pretty sure this is a point where England did not have a good relationship with Germany. And in fact, this is when England and the US started to early 20th century, like early 1900s. When Teddy Roosevelt was our president, that England and the United States began to, after years and years of, being tolerant of each other for the sake of trade, they finally started to become friends. Because they're both kind of like, oh, fuck Germany. And one of the big reasons that they started liking the Americans is because Teddy Roosevelt himself. Now, this is a big gamble, and I give the British government a lot of credit for accepting this gamble because it worked out for them, I think. But yeah, it worked out. Basically, they didn't have to keep their Royal Navy in the Caribbean anymore because the U.S. said, "Don't worry, we got the Caribbean for y'all. Go take care of Germany or defend against Germany." And they moved the royal that allowed them to move their Royal Navy back to England, which made them feel a lot better about their strategic position in World War I. Happened obviously with Germany being the enemy and yada yada yada. There have been several. You're right. It's just that there have been several presidents that did that. To be fair. Oh, also, hello, JMT. So I may feast on them. I'll tell you about what Ronald Reagan did to South America. I guess it was Central / South America. No, they specifically mentioned the Industrial Revolution a couple times, didn't they? So at the very least, it's like later 1800s. It was popular amongst the people, but I'm not sure the government itself was, at least Teddy Roosevelt wasn't as keen. And apparently he had a right to be, based on what ended up happening with World War I. But yeah, I mean, I'm in a state where, like, Germans basically founded this state. Wisconsin was it's still heavily German. So I can imagine here it being, oh no, Germany's great. Well, not as great as here because we left to come here. But, you know. Oh, I forgot the Meiji period started that late. For some reason, I thought it started a little earlier than that. 1868, right after the American Civil War. Not that that had anything to do with it, just a way for Americans to remember things like that is to parallel it with anything about us, and then we remember it better. Well, that's sort of like US and Britain. They had military tension for a very long time, but they had very beneficial trade agreements that was kind of important to both of their economies. That's why Great Britain was really on the cusp of recognizing the Confederacy. Not because they were for slavery, because they had already abolished slavery in Britain, but they're like, we kind of need that cotton. So just in case you guys win, I think we'll support you guys. But then they ended up not taking a stance at all. Which, to an extent, that makes sense. You can create like a fictional timeline that sort of lines up with real life, so you can take some liberties without it seeming too weird because it fits within the universe, but we still have a relative frame of mind when it comes to the time period and what to expect. Yeah. I actually did not know a ton about World War I until kind of recently. We talk about it in school, but the main focus in terms of wars were always the Revolutionary War, because that's how our country got our independence, obviously. The Civil War, and World War II. Those are the ones that were, like, we spent the most time on. Like, Wars of 1812, World War I, Korean War, Vietnam War. Those sort of wars we didn't spend as much time on. We learned about them in elementary school. You know, nationalism and all that. But yeah, it's like, having known the story of World War II for a while, the story of World War I is actually more fascinating to me in terms of how things got started because of what was happening with all these different countries and alliances and this distrust that was building up. Whereas the cause of World War II is a little more, it's more complex than just the Nazi Party, but it is a little more centralized in that, yeah, the Nazi Party was basically the reason. Without the Nazi Party, it probably doesn't happen. Yeah, it was really smart. A really smart move. Not just as a, oh, it's great that he did that, because it was, but it was also a really smart political move. I thought that's how we got Thanksgiving. It's not surprising that World War II is more prominent in many other countries too, just because that's what's kind of helped shape the way the world is now in terms of powers. Perhaps more so than probably more so than World War I. Oh, the assassination of, that's Ferdinand, right? Franz Ferdinand? Franz Ferdinand, sorry. Yeah, there was. Shifting alliances and stuff. And that's what, like, because there was that tension, that assassination is what kind of blew things up. Yeah, straw that broke the camel's back. I did not know they were all cousins. That's really interesting. Really? That's crazy. I have to check on. I did not know that was a thing. Yeah, he went for his sandwich. It just happened to be like, oh, you're the guy I'm supposed to kill. Whoops. Oh, this is a happy coincidence, isn't it? They're both laughing about it. Pow. Where they teach us about the independent struggle in every grade? Yes. Well, no. They do from like 1st grade to 8th grade. So they do it during your formative years so you can get it, indoctrinated into you. When you get to high school, it's a little different. Because for us at least, we had, it went world history, U.S. history, AP world history, AP U.S. history. And during the world history segments, we focused significantly, we basically didn't focus on the U.S. at all, other than the world wars. So basically, but some high schools might still do that. It's just we didn't. Germany, which just had war declared on by Great Britain because Britain was friends with Belgium, which was being trespassed by Germany in order to get to France and kick France's ass because France is friends with Russia, who was getting ready to kick Austria's ass because Austria was getting ready to kick Serbia's ass because someone from Serbia shot the leader of Austria's ass. The start of World War I in a nutshell. Why are there trucks around here right now? It's not Tuesday. There shouldn't be trucks here. So weird how, like, your ability to win or lose a war can be decided just based on what you have at the, what you have, your country, where you're sitting, the ground beneath you. Because even if you take someone else's, it's a lot harder to take and hold something that isn't, yours originally. Because of politics behind settling an entirely new place and installing a government. Maintaining troops and spreading out your lines, etc., etc. That's why the US, for the most part, didn't have much issue with that. They simply bought the land. Well, in terms of the European powers, obviously, they simply killed a lot of natives instead of purchasing, relocating. But in terms of the European powers, they're just like, hey, we'll pay you for this. I'm like, okay. And they just let them be. But Germany didn't buy France. Or Poland. They fucking invaded those places. A little harder to keep the countries when you do that. Oh, people can disagree all they want. What I said is 100% true. It is easier to do something like that and not have to worry about war than it is much more difficult. Doesn't mean impossible, it just means more difficult. To take something and then keep it like that. Easier more difficult. Not works one way and not the other. I'm very careful about the way I word things. Have to be. All right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. This is why these two being up at the same time is incredibly stupid. They literally have two conflicting views. Why would you put two of those witnesses? It kind of made sense when you had, say, the two burglars who both acted in concert together and basically agreed on everything. That, it's still, you wouldn't do that, but that sort of makes some logical sense. This makes no logical sense.
What you demonstrated was incredible, all right? Incredible explosion.
But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was the terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success.
Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensic scientist investigation team.
He was shot! Unless he was impaled, but I don't think he was impaled by anything. I guess we'll see.
This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, take it? The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim ran straight into it. I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence.
Oh, Lord Rand. Rand's like, now it's time to become a necromancer.
As the court's heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being. It was the man who financed the research for the experiment and demonstration itself. I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct?
Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right! That must be it! My splendid machine! My poor splendid machine!
You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
Which, like... So this is part of the problem with this whole... Oh, I want you to prove it was an accident so that you can get me off so I can keep my secrets. How are you gonna prove that it was an accident without, like, looking at the machine and figuring out how it works and what could have went wrong? That's really weird. What? The wreckage? The wreckage?
That being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act?
Extremely simple, my lord.
I beg your pardon.
Isn't that right, witness? What? Sorry, me? No, your neighbor.
Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty.
And yet, you'll likely be wrong. What? How can he possibly think that? Because he got shot in the heart? It had nothing to do with the actual instantaneous transmission? And you made it look like he died from the instantaneous transmission?
Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to formal testimony. You explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder.
We were too late.
We give love a bad name.
Because music's awesome. Even bad music's awesome. Music's just a wonderful thing. Okay. You made Clint Eastwood a musical reference. I was talking about the actor/director, not the song by the Gorillaz.
I'm happy, feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag.
Be right back. We get some more ice for the rest of this cola. I also think the dog might be good. Go out. Go out. See you right. Right. A broken neck? Is he seriously just gonna ignore that very obvious bullet hole in the dude's heart chest area?
Ah, it's a broken neck. Corpse that went crashing through the crystal tower had a broken neck.
I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all.
That was my mistake.
Post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There's a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp, right in the heart. The victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fella's the only one who could have done it.
But didn't everybody see him? Like he was right there, and then there was an explosion. How could he have stabbed him in okay. That'd be quite miraculous.
An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart.
Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge.
The coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that.
You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. That is unlikely. No, no, and no! That couldn't be further from the truth.
I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team.
There was a bunch of smoke, but when did it happen at the same time he was supposedly teleported? Because you have to assume that that's when his body was shot. It wouldn't have happened after the fact because you would have like seen him be thrown if it was done conventionally. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember.
The victim stood himself inside something called the birdcage, ready to be beamed instantly. The second level of the Crystal Tower, about 25 yards away.
The experiment did not go according to plan, however.
As the machine was put
in operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in mid-air, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the Crystal Tower's large round window.
My word! One would assume the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower then?
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident. A terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you.
No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart.
Murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record.
Your request is granted, counsel.
It's the updated one.
I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. The only other person on stage with Mr. Asman was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist.
And really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really.
Very well. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination, please.
Oh, yes, my lord. Need to focus here. I fucking hate when he does that. It's been a while! There you go. That's another musical reference. let's take a look at our court record. We did it. All right, so he shot it up in the air, and that's when he fell and broke his neck. Piece of green cloth. I'm just going to talk to myself here. This is something I'm more familiar with because I don't have a person with me other than my client. So I normally think these things in my head. By myself. Looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. Although, to be fair, I'm usually doing this way before any trial. Never seen anything like it before. But applying Mr. Sholm's methods, I introduced it as part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. Oh, there's some sort of lever here. What is this? It's a crossbow. Looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. It's probably used for the same thing, too. He got shot with a crossbow. Have they ever listed the name of the corner before? A cross gun, if you will. Wait, can I not go to people? That's weird. They won't let me go to people. Hold it! Are you suggesting that's because he fell from a considerable height?
Exactly, which highlights something else about this whole rum business.
What's that?
The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah! After the explosion, the cage with the fellow inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. So although the experiment ended in disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur.
Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster? Hold it! So the angle of projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself personally? Absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry it out.
Only you got it wrong, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is so complicated, even I made a mistake. Do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it. I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, then, you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asman was wearing at the time, I suppose? Ah. Crackling comets! The answer should have been 3! So much for safety first. The 3 must be for safety third.
Hold it!
Man, I had coffee today, some bang, and I'm still just fucking. It's probably whatever. Fucking, having to take extra allergy medication is probably making me drowsy. Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense.
I didn't think I had to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it?
Too right. I don't care for your double negatives.
Obviously, at first, we thought the bloke had died due to his spine snapping in half as well.
But you're saying that's not the case?
You'll get your answer once I finish me fish and chips. You don't keep butting in every few seconds.
There's no fish there! It's just chips! But we all know that's a bottomless bag. Ah, well done. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that as the cause of death.
Right, that's what we all thought. But it was a red herring, wasn't it? There was a lesion in his chest.
Hold it!
A lesion, I tell you! The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. That doesn't actually... I mean, like, you're right, but doesn't actually help here. We know in this the way things go here that that's not really an issue.
The judge will just be like, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Hello there. The prosecution received this report from the Forensic Investigation Team, or FIT as I like to call them, only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere? Thanks. So, what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This.
Oh yes, that would appear to be some kind of screwdriver.
Ah! There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Oh, you're right. There is one fish piece there. And the rest of them are chips. Ah, yes, Andrew, obviously. Gregson's cool. I like Gregson. He's not as lovable as Gumshoe. Like, that's the problem. But if you take him in a vacuum, he's a good character. He can be funny. He's also competent. Relatively so. I only eat fish and freedom fries. My trusty little companion, Andrew. Andrew, of course. Ah, do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. That's correct. Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael's a crosshead.
It would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank.
No, what about the way he said that? But that sounds fucking hilarious. Ah, that isn't... It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt.
No. That's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fella is completely consistent with the victim's wound.
What? What? Andrew, how could you? I told you, no murdering! Order, order!
The court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence.
It reminds me when, another Simpsons reference here. The space episode where, Mr. Burns gives an inanimate carbon rod employee of the month. Homer gets pissed, blah, 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 whatever. Goes into space. He saves the spaceship from being sucked out in the vacuum of space by shutting it and lodging an inanimate carbon rod in the door. And so when Homer like gets back onto Earth, he raises it like, this rod, and they take a picture of him like this, but then just show the rod in the paper. And then there's a celebratory parade. It's the Rod who gets the car in the parade, and Homer doesn't get anything. It's just like, that's Andrew, except he's the one that's gonna get locked up instead of the person that used him. I don't think I ever knew what a shank was when it came to... I knew it was something with animals, but I didn't know what it was. You could order it, like, beef shank. Or something. Pork shank. Something shank. Lamb shank. So, one of Professor Hairbrain's tools is the murder weapon? Great. Hold it! What grounds do you have for saying that?
Huh, you really need to ask. There were only two people on that public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd.
The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, and the accused, Professor Hairbrain. And we know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive.
That's right, I saw him with my own eyes.
Oh, so you're a witness now. Now we have a problem. Furthermore, following the explosion in Kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body.
In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could possibly have done it.
Excuse me.
Would you really do that to your client? Professor Hairbrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? No, you wouldn't, is the answer. Professor! Ah, sorry! I was just calculating the optimum coefficiency of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that? It seems as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Ah, ha, ha, ha! Yes, that's right, of course! He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he?
Yes, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh?
I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Asman as you say. Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins.
I'd heard.
It just starts eating and looks away from him. It's like,
Yeah, I heard that once.
then surely you see. If I'd plunged something the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood swimming pool. Ah. Thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood.
Well, no, I suppose not.
You see? Not one.
True. I didn't see anything like that.
Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. One of our better witnesses. Clients, I should say, in terms of being helpful. Order! Order! Oh, here we go. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's adducing. Here's to you, Alberts. Oh, you're too kind, Barrack, but I'm really not a patch on you. But you didn't have a drop. Why'd you throw it? No, you're not. No? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? Particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound.
Of course.
Inspector, enlighten the court, please.
Yes, sir.
Where are they going with this?
Very well. You will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body whilst he was beamed through the air.
But we picked it up. We knew where it was.
Hold it!
Why would you think that, Inspector? No, that's not the fucking question to ask! Oh my god. This is brutally stupid on Renosuke's part.
With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that profuse bleeding occurs. Whilst it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word.
I see, which he should have known already, but even beyond that, just brutally bad. You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Where's Susanoo-san when you need her?
You asked me, his bloke masked what he was doing from view with his body before stabbing Asman in the chest. Then he beamed the victim off the stage with his fancy device. Screwdriver still where he planted it.
I would never do such a thing, not to my precious tools. I would never use them for such dirty work. You only use tools for their intended purpose. That's common knowledge for any scientist. The fact remains the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecution has demonstrated. That's all the testimony I have to work with. I had no idea the victim had been stabbed. That changes everything. Did Van Zix keep this to himself until now on purpose? To gain the advantage? Oh, no! Why would he have possibly done that? He's never done that in the past, I assure you! Oh well, I suppose all I can do is press these witnesses for as much new information as possible. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine. Be important, which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. Yeah, no shit. Doesn't seem comfortable. This is blood, Mr. Asman's, no doubt? This is the problem with looking at murder weapons.
Objection!
You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal?
Look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding.
It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Wow. 2 hours and 20 minutes into this stream and trial before Van Zeeks drops a fucking prejudicial statement. Yes, but about this screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Oh, well, now you mention it, yes?
Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation of Scientific Equipment Act?
No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. It was very clear that he wasn't to touch a thing.
That's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it?
What are you getting at?
This tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, and it shouldn't have still been on the stage. Ah. That's right. It should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman, and been found still lodged in the victim's chest.
Ugh. Ah!
Order, order!
How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't...
Looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. The screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred. Obviously, that should have been beamed to the destination as well.
You!
This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, they're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument. We can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zeeks is stuck. Oh no. Oh. Oh no. Is he about to shit on himself? No, he doesn't.
Jesus fucking, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have something to say, witness?
No, he doesn't, Your Honor. Yes, I knew it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry. About what?
Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Asman's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations.
Oh my God! Why are you so happy about fucking yourself over? He's dancing. He's happy about this. He is legitimately happy about this. I do. Not too long ago. That's why you never speak too soon in these games when you're praising somebody. They will instantly make you regret your praise, not 5 minutes later. Look at this stupid fucking face. He doesn't even realize what he just did. What? What? It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation. Just when I'd found an inconsistency, the prosecution's argument. Scientists.
Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with a scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold.
You know, I will say, even though this is, like, infuriating on the part of Rinosuke as the protagonist, I can buy this, fictionally speaking, that this wacky scientist cares more about being right than about actually, you know, helping his own case. I totally buy it. I totally buy it. I feel like there are people like that in real life, too. I'd rather die than be wrong.
Provide us with the scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold.
The name of Apollo I will, my lord. Even if it fucks me to kingdom come. To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis state: the kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Asman was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together.
He doesn't want to be punished for murder, though. Nor would our point have gotten him off scot-free, so none of that actually is consistent with what you are saying. What he wants. At least, logically speaking. Unless he's working on faulty logic. This is him just being a stubborn scientist.
So, the rest of your testimony, Professor, is
that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis.
In other words,
In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency.
and therefore,
And therefore, Professor Albert Hairbrain could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see! We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason.
I was not addressing you, witness.
Professor Hairbrain. Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No, no, no. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist after all. Exactly. There it is. Has nothing to do with, oh, you're proving it wasn't an accident. It's the only thing that matters is my science! Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. Just shut your goddamn mouth unless I tell you to speak. Motherfucker! Metal did. This is metal, isn't it? This is absolutely metal. That's gold. Unless he's wearing a plastic fucking... Now, this should be enough. I should be able to go here and go to this and say,
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. That was taken at the scene. How did his chest get so red? And what the hell is on his head? Metal! In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Asman is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No! Metal can't... That's not... Metal? No! We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome.
Congratulations!
It should also have predicted that the metal rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place. Ah! My hypothesis! My hypothesis! Professor Hairbrain, this isn't easy for me to say. Your hypothesis is clearly flawed. Ah! That felt good. Fuck off. Order! Order! Order!
Counsel, what is the implication of this?
If, on the day in question, the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound! I proved it that day! The experiment was a success! The experiment was proof of all my work!
If I had say something here, my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society. Yes, sir, number 4, go ahead. As a matter of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And that's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science.
What? Wait, great Scott! Are you suggesting my science... What? My science! My science is suspect?
It's just been disproved, that's it, in front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel,
Congratulations!
a bounder, and a fraud.
Bravo, CJ. Bravo.
I say the wreckage of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined.
No, never! That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis! It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
And then you misspell two very basic words in a row. Okay. Force rye!
What the devil was that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule?
I don't like the way this seems to be going. The best way for me to help the professor. Well, the answer seems to always be raise an objection. Maybe I should watch and wait for the time being. My feeling is that the machine requires a thorough examination.
But what about this? What about this special dispensation that's been mentioned? Oh gosh, this is all too much.
If it's determined that the machine itself was a murder weapon, I think you'll find the act won't apply. Of course it is the murder weapon. Anyone can see that as plain as day.
So we're all in agreement, are we, that the machine should be stripped?
I'll do something, Nell. Professor Harebrain has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes? But even so, what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public. You'd have absolutely no reason to do such a thing. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. Ah!
If the government was foolish enough to have deemed the man's ridiculous notion plausible, yet his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed.
Conspirators? What would the value be of such a grant? 10 pounds?
You're an order of magnitude out, madam. 500 pounds a year.
Oh, you can live handsome and on that much for years.
The society has noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently. And plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest knife in the pudding cake. People's greed. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you.
Oh, what's up, Techy?
No, I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Ah, Barrick! And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused. Oh shit, Barrick. Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may.
Yes, Lord Van Zeeks.
The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand.
New witnesses? What would be the nature of their involvement?
They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition, who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses?
Very well, the court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident.
The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no postiche. Postiche? Postiche? That P word.
The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend... Oh, yes? It is time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. Where does that leave me?
We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand.
As you wish, my lord.
Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes.
Mr. Naruhodo, what on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis, my amazing hypothesis. You've been picking holes on it from the start. Oh, sorry about that. But you promised me. You said you'd prove that the dread explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands. But all you've done so far is try to undermine me. Yes, I did make you a promise. You're right. I said I'd believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. But I also told you that I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But if I just run through some equations, yes, you see, because perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a constant. Wait. Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh no! You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. And I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster. Not just as a scientist, but as a human being. Though, that might be a little over the top. Just a little. Not a lot, though. And while we're on the subject, what about Barrick? He's being awful. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean? He's a disaster. Not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore? But that's cleared up. Can I fuck. I need to do that. Can I double check something with you? Yes. What? The machine and demonstration you prepared, they were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume? There was no trickery involved? I drew the plans for the... Well, Mr. How I'm flattered, but I would not like to double fuck.
Oh, somebody. Let's see.
I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn from the firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't... It's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet. God damn it. This is super frustrating. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it. Thank you. Yeah, I might have to... I've been trying to go to 3 hours, and I might have to stop there, because this makes it difficult to do. Or it can't be great entertainment to see me sneezing every 30 seconds. All right, Professor, I understand.
Counsel, defendant. Get your ass in here. Prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. Court is about to be in session again. Make your way into the courtroom, please.
All hinges on that demonstration. Professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims. Leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. On the other hand, Scholes is adamant. That it could not be. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? So, if this were really if this were a real case, and all the client cared about was saying that it was a success, what he would probably do, we would have to prove that it was successful, but it was still an accident. I don't think he could possibly get everything that he wants in this scenario. Because I think the only way to prove that it was an accident would be to dismantle the machine, but he doesn't want that. And so it'd be like, well, would you prefer to be hanged? But the court find that your experiment was a success? Is that more important to you than getting off scot-free? I don't know, maybe there is a way. But, like, the easiest way to show that it was an accident is to dismantle the machine itself. It'll be interesting to see if we can prove that without dismantling the machine. Actually, what we're going to do is prove that it was somebody else that killed him. I guess that's the third option. With a crossbow.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify?
Prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord, even though I have no idea who they are.
So, Lord Van Zeeks, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes?
Indeed they did. And as luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Oh, it's Gina? Perfect. A detective of all people. The prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So bring forth your witnesses now.
Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally.
Why is Maki up there?
Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear.
Hey, dog, are you still here? It's because we all wish that that case didn't exist. Dog said there was another character that I could use the Arnold voice for. I wonder if this is him. I don't know what to give this guy. I thought he said there was another one, though. Carnival barker? I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what that is. Like, my name is Balthazar Lore. Sort of like that. Step right up, step right up! He lures you in. My name is Balthazar Lore. I am the impresario of the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the experimental stage. Oh, he's supposed to be, like, Italian or Spanish something, isn't he? Yeah, that's fucking Maki. He's even German! Isn't Maki German? Oh, that's an N? God. I'm really upset that my eye appointment that was scheduled for tomorrow had to be rescheduled for July. Oh, that's right. It was a fake country. I forgot about that. Because they had that special import or export or whatever that was forbidden. Borginia! There we go.
My name is Wilhelm Gottstrike. Gottstrike. God. Sigmund Ornstein. I have come to see.
No, this is Wieland with a better fucking disgust.
I have come to see the great exhibition Ossife from my home in Bohemia.
For a gold coin? That's overpaying for that balloon, sir.
I'm very rich. Inspector General Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Sherlock Holmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition. I got to go up in one of the balloons. It was amazing.
I love her. Her smile is so nice. Just very uplifting. You can tell that's somebody who endured a lot of pain in their life who is now genuinely happy. And you feel that. Those smiles mean so much more. Because those are smiles that, at one point, that person probably didn't think would ever exist again. Never be expressed. Genuinely, at least. I forgot what movie we were watching or show, but they had a Wilhelm scream, and it was not expecting it in that particular instance. Like, it's one thing to expect it in a, like, campy, violent movie like Kill Bill or something like that. Like, I don't even remember what this movie was, but it's like, what? Why is it there? Gina, again. But she did mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in a balloon, actually, didn't she? She clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above. Dude, the little German boy is Maki. That dude is fucking Maki. You make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet. It's very low. Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet? About 18 meters then. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. I didn't require your metric system nonsense there.
Thank you for your introductions. Now you will give your formal testimony for the court. And I described exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage.
It was an incident terrible. It was an incident terrible. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. There's this huge bang from the stage, and then the next second another bang in the sky beside us. And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower. You silly metric system slaves. You'll never understand. Our system is 9 billion IQ. And yours is quite an average 101. Who did I give the Italian accent? Didn't I give the Skulkin brothers the super Italian, stereotypical Italian Mario sort of accent? Who did I give that act? I gave it to somebody recently. I don't remember who it was, though. You could be right. Because they're like, they really were, like, they were even more Cockney than Gina is.
A most extraordinary collective account, I must say.
See, this makes more sense. This makes more sense for a multiple witness thing. This, I'm okay with. Would never do it in court, because that's ridiculous. But this at least makes some logical sense, as opposed to having the fucking defendant and the inspector who was investigating up there at the same time. Their testimony is just them bickering back and forth. That's dumb. Can I just clarify something? Somebody in chat said before that it seemed very much like we're using this here just so that we can use our unique mechanic to this game. And I think that's 100% correct. There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called bird cage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The bird cage appeared at the site of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hard, but I don't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. More balloon, please. Thank you. I still have lost some money. Nobody cares. Absolutely nobody fucking cares. And that's what makes that really funny.
Precisely, who is this curious infant?
I am told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently, he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the great exhibition. The judge doesn't fucking know him. What are the chances that the general public would be like, oh my god, that's Prince so-and-so of the Bohemian family! Ah! Yeah. I am here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school. We'll have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Do we really need that? Then I remove my mask. This is what I look like.
Ah, yes, I see a delightful face, I'm sure. If I could see it properly.
Because my spectacles don't actually go up to my eyes, thus I can't actually see anything in front of me. Alright, later, Techy. Thanks for hanging, dude. Ja! Everybody says so. Great disguise, then. Might as well put a mustache on it. The point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the Crystal Tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused who was with Mr. Asman on the stage could possibly have committed the murder.
Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please.
Yes, my lord. Oh my god, cross-examining the kid's gonna be so funny. I'm basing his... I'm trying to do a lighter version of the, what's his name? General? Team 4 Stars Hellsing Ultimate Abridged version of the General. Or whatever the fuck his name is. Wir are German. Und wir are evil. And we La foi! Whatever the fuck he's saying. It's just like comedically evil. Oh my god. What an abridged series that is. Alright, this is where I'm stopping, because my nose is... I'm going... I'm going to go cut my nose to spite my face. Or whatever. Actually gonna go do it, though. Actually gonna go do that right now. When you see me next, I will have no nose. Sinuses can fucking deal with that, then. Probably just ooze out of the hole, then, right? That wouldn't be great. Then I'd have no sense of smell. My taste would be fucked up. I don't know, I might have to rethink this. Alright, so nothing Friday. Since my appointment for tomorrow was, one thing I had in the morning tomorrow was my, my eye appointment. We'll see what happens with the rest of my work schedule tomorrow. If it ends up that needs to get pushed back, or maybe I could just do a shorter stream tomorrow. I might do that. Maybe we'll be back tomorrow with a shorter stream before I gotta get to my work stuff, because the morning stuff was my eye appointment. A particularly long eye appointment because it's contact fitting and my eyes are. Anyways, because we're not having a stream on Saturday. Sorry, Friday. Wait, why are we not having a stream on Friday? Why did I cancel Friday's stream? No, we're still having a stream on Friday. We're still having a stream on Friday. That was last Friday that I had to cancel. That's right. Yep. I might still stream a shorter stream tomorrow of this if I have the time. So. Yes, I think you're right. I think you are remembering correctly, Trep, and I am confusing it with that. We are still having a stream this coming Friday. It was last Friday that I canceled. So we're still gonna have that, but I might still throw in another short stream of this tomorrow. So. Also, hey Amir. Bye Amir. Bye everybody else. Have a good one. I'll be back with more of this. Can't wait to cross-examine this trio of individuals. So, yeah. Until tomorrow, everyone. I was gonna say court's adjourned. Stream's adjourned.
I don't want you to try to kill it.
No.
Because you're gonna fail again.
Right.
And I don't